The judiciary is the last hope of the common man. Rightly so. It has over the years helped to shape democracy with many landmark decisions. But recent developments in the sector show that it is fast becoming a system that may be losing its steam and fierceness. This is because of accusations and counter-accusations of corruption among the top echelon of the judiciary, unethical conduct, and deeply eroded public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Last week, 14 justices of the Supreme Court accused the now former Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Tanko Muhammad, of mismanagement of resources and poor leadership. How can the judiciary reposition itself? Joining us in the studio to discuss the push for judicial reforms and probity is lawyer and human rights activist Femi Falana, SAN. You're welcome to this show.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you, John.
What did you make of the story when it started to unfold?
I think I would like to start with your first sentence. The judiciary is not the last hope of the common man. In a bourgeois society, you might say it's the last hope of the rich. Because the poor have no access to the courts. It's only the rich that can access
Get to the Supreme Court.
If you attack a poor man, if you slap a poor man, he will say, God day. But the rich man will say, I'm taking you to court. So that's the difference. Even the lady of justice, right, who is blindfolded, has had the scarf removed and sometimes raped by the rich, you know. Wow. But on a very serious note, the judiciary, no doubt, has attempted to stabilize the polity through a lot of far-reaching decisions, or what you might call landmark judgments. In spite of the allegations oozing out of the judiciary, or what you call the top echelon of the judiciary, I would like to say that, unlike other arms of government, judiciary is the only one that has developed an internal mechanism for dealing with allegations of corruption and the rest of them. If anybody sends a petition to the National Judicial Council, you'll be sure, except it's a very frivolous petition, it's going to be attended to. And any judge that has been indicted or alleged will have to be asked to answer necessary queries. In this particular instance, now I've made the point, those allegations will have to go to the National Judicial Council, because that is the decision of the Supreme Court. In the case of Federal Republic of Nigeria and Ndagiwa, you know, which is to the fact that any allegations of corruption, mismanagement of funds, money laundering, and so on and so forth, against judges will have to go to the National Judicial Council for investigation and perhaps indictment before the anti-graft agencies can, or the police can charge them to court. So I believe the proper thing has to be done in this case. So, notwithstanding the fact that the Honorable Justice Tanko Muhammad has resigned.
Considering that, the Senate has said that they will have to look into this issue by probing the case, especially from the memo that was written by 14 justices. What is the place of the Senate in this instance when the NJC is going to handle the issue internally?
The Senate has no powers to look into them. With profound respect to the chair of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Amidele Okoyemi, who I have my respect for. As far as the law is concerned here, you have the National Judicial Council, empowered by the Constitution to examine such allegations. And in this case, I must confess, the National Assembly has itself to blame for the problems we are currently encountering in the judiciary.
How is that?
So?
You know, Section 81 of the Constitution prescribes that the president shall submit the budget of the country to the National Assembly for consideration. And there is a decision of the court in the case of Olisa Agbakoba and the National Assembly to the effect that the budget of the judiciary will have to be prepared by the National Judicial Council, and once it is prepared, it shall be submitted to the National Assembly. What the National Assembly has done over the years is not to look at the budget, just to pass it as it is sent to them. And this is causing the problems. We must know what you are budgeting for, what you go for, replacement of cars, of judges, recurrent expenditure, and the rest of them. But there are no details. And it's against the Constitution to pass a budget without examining it. No, even the items are not set out, not outlined. And the president, again, also signs such a bill into law. So we're just told in the last 2 or 3 years, 110 billion naira is voted for the judiciary. We do not know what the items are for. So it's been very difficult for some of us to campaign for increase in the budget, because we don't know what the budget is all about. And this is what has caused some of this problem. And you also have a dangerous situation where only one person decides on the budget of the judiciary, and also implements. Again, it's not part of our law that judges will manage funds. So you must be busy writing your judgments,
yes.
hearing cases. And that is why the chief registrar of the Supreme Court and the chief registrars of the respective courts are assigned by law to be the accounting officers. So judges are not expected to manage funds.
Yeah, but this means the case not only with the Supreme Court, but court heads.
No, that's why I'm also talking of chief registrar of the Supreme Court, another chief registrar. Yes. Because if we had all listened to Justice Ejembi Eko when he retired last month, this perhaps would not have happened. In fact, his lordship was inviting the anti-graft agencies to examine the accounts of the courts, not just the Supreme Court.
But if we have a situation where we have 3 equal arms of government, and the president, like the executive, is supposed to submit a budget, we expect a situation where the judiciary, as a 3rd independent arm of government, also submits a budget
That is the decision of the court.
So how helpless is the court, or the judiciary, let me say, how helpless is the judiciary to ensure that that happens?
You see, if you go back to the protest letter by the 14 justices of the Supreme Court, for me, the judges were particularizing. They were really dealing with
details,
specifics. But some of these problems are institutional. Some are even self-induced. If there is a judgment of a court to the effect that, in fact, 2 judgments, one by Agbakoba, one by Judicial, that's the judiciary staff, Association of Nigeria, to the effect that judiciary shall have financial autonomy. But what has happened? Judges, instead of insisting on the implementation of both judgments, judges go camp in hand to the executive to ask for funds to run the courts. In fact, you report this from time to time when governors are giving out cars to judges, Yes. The chief judge
is very happy.
Exactly.
Very happy. He will give a speech thanking His Excellency. Why the governor will call the tape? And it's only a Nigerian phenomenon. You didn't manufacture the car. So why are you cutting a tape? The cars are ready. Distribute them. And stop wasting money on unnecessary ceremonies. But it is meant to humiliate our judges. But the point I'm making is that it is self-induced. The chief judge has no business going to the governor to collect cars for judges. That should be taken from your own budget. That's the point I'm making.
Does it bother you that the last two CJNs have left the office under the cloud of corruption? Does it bother you?
No, no, it is not. It is very strange, because it is often said that judges must live above board like Caesar's wife. But you know, in a highly corrupt society, it will be strange not to have corrupt public officers at all levels. So the judiciary cannot operate in vacuum. We're part of this society. However, as I said, the judiciary has a way of dealing with its own, unlike the executive and the legislature. Right? So in the case of the judiciary, once there are allegations of misappropriation of funds or misconduct, the NJC will look at it. And it has to happen in this case.
We're still looking forward to the autonomy of the judiciary, like we always and often expect. Moves have been made at different times. If that step has to be taken for us to...
No, we don't need to take it. It's already taken by the Constitution.
All right.
Section 84
but we're not seeing
is very
it in
clear.
practical terms.
Section 123 of the is very clear at the level of the state. The judiciary, all the funds appropriated for the court will have to be paid to the head of the court. Through the NJC. But what happens now is that the executive, arms of the executive, the executive find it difficult to recognize the independence of the judiciary.
Professor Ishesake,
it's all meant to subvert democracy.
Professor Ishesake was on this show last week, in which he was complaining about the justices themselves, saying that the justices themselves, who are now acting as though they are like pure, really gorgeously powerful people of judiciary. He said they themselves too are not really pure, and that we should not look at this situation as though it was just Tanko that was a sinner here. That is a chamber of sinners.
As far as the protest
those are my words, not his words, yes.
As far as the protest letter is concerned, allegations are made, right? In the rejoinder by the CJN, by the former CJ, Chief Justice, all he said was that the Supreme Court justices were dancing naked in the marketplace. And as I said in an interview on Sunday,
I saw it.
by also going public, his lordship was also dancing naked in the marketplace. Yes. But what is important, allegations have been made. They have to be investigated. Further justices are indicted, so be it. But as far as we are concerned, we must take these matters one after the other. I do not have, for me, I'm not privileged to engage in a fallacy of generalization, you know. I would rather want to deal with specifics.
That's a clever way.